It's time to really crack down on Iran, and we can do it. Have a look, and that's what we'll talk about over lunch today. I hope you're having a nice lunch. You know, it isn't every day, in fact, it isn't even like once a year, that the United States Senate passes a bill 100 to nothing. I mean, other than a motion to adjourn or a motion to thank, a soccer team for winning the regional championships. They passed by 100 to nothing last week a really good Iran sanctions bill. What it provides is that rather than just go after assorted companies that do business in Iran, which other sanctions have done, this goes after the Iranian Central Bank. And it says nobody can do business with that bank. What that means is that nobody can buy oil from Iran. And if the United States does it, the other European countries are going to be under heavy pressure to follow suit. And those sanctions would absolutely destroy Iran. I mean, after oil, it's big exports of pistachio nuts and rugs. So, I mean, it really would just destroy their economy and force them to abandon that nuclear program or go into a bankruptcy that would trigger a revolution there. And Democrats and Republicans agree on it and passed it 100 to nothing. Now, it's going to go to the House, and I hope it passes there, probably 435 to nothing. And then the real question is, will Obama sign it? Obama has threatened a veto. And his reasoning, as well as Europe's reasoning, is, it'll drive the price of oil too high because Iran produces 3 to 4 million barrels a day out of our global supply of 90 million. And that could be a real thing that would drive the price up to $5 or $6 a gallon. But I would rather have $5 or $6 gallon oil than a nuclear explosion in wiping out Jerusalem or New York City, for that matter. And really, this is the sanction that would ultimately work. Now, of course, if the result of cutting off Iranian oil is that oil prices spike, it'll be fairly short term. First of all, people will cut back their driving. Americans have reduced their gasoline usage by 8% over the last 4 years. Amazing. And more importantly, with a higher price, there'll be much more oil generated domestically. United States domestic oil production has gone from 7 million barrels a day to 8 million barrels a day just in the last 2 years. After a long decline from 10 down to 7, it went up to 8. North Dakota, that didn't used to produce any oil, now produces 420,000 barrels a day. It's incredible. And with this slate drilling, we have the real capacity to become oil independent. And the higher the price of oil goes, the more incentive there is for them to start producing gobs of American oil. So in the long run, it's a very good policy. But as always, Obama is not looking out for America's interest. He's influenced by Europe. And we're not particularly dependent on Iranian oil, and we have our own huge domestic sources. Europe has no real domestic sources. They've tapped out the North Sea, and they are heavily dependent on Iranian oil. So he's listening to them rather than to our own national interest. But for once, the Democrats in the Senate displayed some independence and some intelligence. And led by Menendez, who's a total thief, who's the senator from New Jersey, in his one good move, he pushed this bill, co-sponsoring it with Mark Kirk from Illinois, a Republican, who has been absolutely the best senator on dealing with Iran. He's really led the way on these fights. So really, it's very important that Obama sign this legislation and that we all get behind pushing it. Let's get serious with Iran before they explode a nuclear weapon. Now, with all of this talk of nuclear weapons, maybe we need something light for Christmas for kids. So we have this really innocent golden retriever, Dubs, and he always carries his tennis ball with him. And on a trip to Washington, he dropped it. It was a total disaster. It rolled faster and faster. It didn't slow down. And poor Dubs had to look for it all over town. And as he goes to each of the sites around Washington, he discovers the greatness of America. And we put it in a book because all we could find was, liberal books, politically correct books on sustainability or Heather Has Two Mommies. So we wrote this book for young patriots, 4 to 8. It's only available on Amazon.com or DickMorris.com. So order it. Dubs Goes to Washington. Great Christmas gift. Have a nice lunch.